You're not very festive?
Notice of a public meeting of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville. Pursuant to Chapter 551, Title 5 of the Texas Government Code and the Texas Open Meetings Act, notice is hereby given that the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, in accordance with Article 5, Section 12 of the Charter of said city, will convene an executive session and a regular meeting on Tuesday, July the 1st, 2014, at 5:45 p.m. and 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers on the second floor of Brownsville City Hall, located at 1001 East Elizabeth Street, Brownsville, Cameron County, Texas. Executive session, item A, discussion pursuant to Section 551.087 of the Texas Government Code regarding economic development.
Motion to move to executive session.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, Stella, go ahead.
Trampoline park.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Let's pray. Father God, we thank you for the many blessings that we've been blessed with here in Brownsville. Lord, as your word says, those to whom much has been given, much is required. Lord, in light of what your word says in Malachi 3:5, we ask you to lead and guide our leaders in any way we can help those that have come to our city. Lord, we ask you to lead and guide the leaders of Central America and Mexico to help them fix the problems that many people have fled from. Lord, we ask you to lead and guide our leaders here today. Give them wisdom and guidance in the issues that are presented before them today. Help them to see the far-reaching effects. Lord, we ask you for unity in our city and all the blessings that you desire for us. In the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen. Okay. Stella, there is no mayor's report.
No mayor's update. Commissioners update.
I just have something brief. I wanted to thank CDCB and Bike Texas for NB Metro for going down to the southmost church, Christ the King Church on Sunday in the very, very bad heat to do surveys and find out from the folks coming in and out of Mass what their transportation needs are for their area and what their hopes and dreams are. So it was a very successful survey, and we'll be doing them in other parts of the city as the summer goes on, thanks to those folks that were out.
Mayor, and I just wanted to comment on our visit by Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi on Saturday. As she met the city, she toured our city, she toured the facilities at the border, and she came and gave a conference for us at the Brownsville Event Center. And her message was a message of hope, and that this community will stop looking at it as a political issue and look at it as a humanitarian issue. And I firmly believe that that's what everybody as Christians should be looking at, is the fact that this is a problem that's being dealt with, and we need to further look into it.
Okay, and Charlie, I think a letter of thanks to Congressman Pelosi is in order for coming down here. So sometime during this week, on behalf of the mayor and the commissioners, is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
I think that was kind.
We're working
Okay.
with our office, Mayor, because it was more than her that visited us, so we're
Well,
going to get
whoever
exact
came
names.
down, unfortunately, I was out of town. But proclamations?
Yes.
The 2004 All-America City Estudiantina from Gladys Porter Zoo.
If you could please come up.
I thought I heard that.
So the two, oh, the two proclamations that we have set for today are the students that joined us in Denver, Colorado, and were instrumental, and I want to say one of the main reasons we brought back the All-America City Award. So the first one is the Porter High School Estudiantina. A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas, designating the Gladys Porter High School Estudiantina as the official 2014 All-America City Estudiantina for the City of Brownsville. Whereas the All-America City Awards is the country's most prestigious award for outstanding community-based civic accomplishments, and whereas the National Civic League has a special focus on successful efforts to address the underlying conditions that affect the health of communities, and whereas part of the National Civic League celebration of the 25th anniversary of the U.S. Healthy Communities Movement, the All-America City Awards spotlighted programs that address issues such as obesity, walkable cities, biking, fitness, healthy eating, and disease prevention. And whereas the City of Brownsville, in collaboration with other organizations, submitted an application to the National Civic League on March 18, 2014, listing 3 examples of successful community change and describing their capacities for civic engagement, collaboration, inclusiveness, and innovation. And whereas the City of Brownsville was declared a 2014 All-America City finalist on April 9, 2014, whereas the City of Brownsville traveled to Denver, Colorado with a delegation June 13 through 16, 2014, to compete along with 24 other city finalists by presenting to a jury of civic experts who selected 10 annual award winners. And whereas members of the Porter High School Estudiantina performed on stage while the city presented. And whereas Mrs. Minerva Peña, Brownsville Independent School District Board of Trustees member, was an integral partner in facilitating the Estudiantina and the Brownsville Independent School District faculty to participate. And whereas the City of Brownsville was officially named a 2014 All-America City on June 15, 2014. Now therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, Texas, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby proclaim the Gladys Porter High School Estudiantina as the official 2014 All-America City Estudiantina for the City of Brownsville. Done on this, the first day of July 2014, Honorable Mayor Antonio Martinez and City Commission.
Well, I'd like to thank everybody for this opportunity, not only for myself, but obviously for the students. None of my students prior to this trip had ever been on an airplane before. So, I mean, just that alone, it was a very delightful experience. We're very glad that we were part of this, this award presentation and ceremony, and we're very proud of what we've done. And we're very proud of everybody else involved in the presentation and award. Thank you.
Thank all of you.
Thank you so much. We are so humbled for this recognition. And I'm here to say that BISD is here to work with our city to make it the best city on the planet. And this honor is just incredible. And we pray that when we do this with our children, they'll make this city the best city in the nations, that everybody will come and live here, because we are blessed beyond our needs. And I thank God, and I thank God for protecting and blessing all the city commission and the mayor and helping us move forward. Thank you so much for this honor.
So the next one.
The next one is, I'm sorry,
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
2014 All-America City Chess Players from Veterans Memorial High School.
A proclamation of the City Commission of Brownsville, Texas. Could we have the Veterans Memorial High School chess players up? Oh, they're not here? Okay, will you be accepting in there? Okay. Okay. Veterans Memorial High School chess players as the official 2014 All-American City Chess Players for the City of Brownsville. Whereas the All-American City Awards is the country's most prestigious award for outstanding community-based civic accomplishments, and the National Civic League has a special focus on successful efforts to address the underlying conditions that affect the health of communities. And whereas part of the National Civic League's celebration of the 25th anniversary of the U.S. Healthy Communities Movement, the All-American City Awards spotlighted programs that address issues such as obesity, walkable cities, biking, fitness, healthy eating, and disease prevention. And whereas the City of Brownsville, in collaboration with other organizations, submitted an application to the National Civic League on March the 18th, 2014, listing 3 examples of successful community change and describing their capacities for civic engagement, collaboration, inclusiveness, and innovation. And the City of Brownsville was declared a 2014 All-American City finalist on April the 9th, 2014. And whereas the City of Brownsville traveled to Denver, Colorado with a delegation June 13th to the 16th to compete with 24 other city finalists by presenting to a jury of civic experts who selected 10 annual award winners, the Veterans Memorial High School chess players were a part of the Brownsville All-America City delegation. Mrs. Minerva Pena, Brownsville's Independent School District Board of Trustees member, was an integral partner in facilitating the participation of the Veterans Memorial High School chess players and the Brownsville Independent School District faculty to participate. The City of Brownsville was officially named a 2014 All-American City on June 15, 2014. Now, therefore, we, the members of the City Commission of the City of Brownsville, by virtue of the authority vested by the Charter of said city, do hereby designate the chess players of Veterans Memorial High School as the official 2014 All-America City Chess Players for the City of Brownsville. Done this first day of July 2014. Signed the Mayor Antonio Martinez and the City Commission.
Mayor, thank you very much. Commissioners, thank you very much for this award. Unfortunately, our students were unable to attend, but we will recognize them at a board meeting, and we will present them with a proclamation Although the highlight was on healthy communities, we truly believe that having our chess capital of Texas here in BISD has made us not only healthy in terms of our bodies, but also our minds and our brains. A lot of our students go on and to Ivy League universities and, top universities, even our local universities. We have a lot of our students that are playing under scholarships. So we want to thank you for recognizing our chess program, because I know that we've worked very, very hard at ensuring that our students continue playing up until high school. And this recognition goes unnoticed, so thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Does not go unnoticed, sorry.
Employee of the month? Employee of the month, John?
Mayor, members of the commission, please help me welcome the Employee of the Month for July, Melissa Mares. Melissa works at our legal department with our attorneys under the direction of Mark Saucy. She's been with the city for 5 years. She started her career with our city in municipal court, worked there for 3 years before she was selected to work with our legal department 2 years ago. She is one of the politest people we have. She's always there for us, takes on the burden, a lot of pressure of assuring that she gets our contracts and things like that reviewed, stamped, and being able to be legal for our department to be able to continue their work on a lot of projects. Always available for us. She has been able to maintain her stay there, and obviously we've had a turnover there, so she's had a few employees that she's had to train and help us, and they're doing very well. So as Employee of the Month, she gets the pin. She's got pretty jewelry on, so I don't know if she wants to put the flag for the Employee of the Month of July. Wristwatch, she's got a nice watch on already, but okay. And a few words.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone, and especially my department, right? Thank you so much, my director and the attorneys there. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Item 5, consent agenda items A through C.
Approved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 6.
Item number 6, public hearing and action thereafter regarding the request to approve the narrowing of East 6th Street from 3 lanes of traffic to 2 lanes, expanding the sidewalk adjacent to Gladys Porter Zoo property, adding landscaping, and providing a bicycle connection from Belden Trail to East Harrison Street.
Mayor, City Commission, this presentation will be done first by me, and then a little bit of Dodo to explain the technicalities, and then Robert to do the traffic counts and the traffic issue. One of the things I took from the resolution was we were recognized for walkable cities, and I think this project is one of those projects that continues that movement forward. So I wanted to give you a little historical background on the development of 6th Street and the Linear Park area. The aerial here, you can see 2 major things. This is an aerial before the expressway was built, and you can see that the expressway was technically built over a beautiful Resaca. The remnants is Town Lake Resaca. This is Cummings, and the zoo. At the time, acquired this entire neighborhood that bordered 6th Street to develop the zoo. This picture is pretty dark, but I wanted to show you this picture because it shows the right-of-way that the rail had and the spur that came into the old switchyard, which is now Linear Park. In this picture, you see the expressway now developed and built. You see the zoo developed and built as well, and you see the switchyards that pre the courthouse and all the museums, and the switchyards are still there. And this is the current picture of Linear Park. And we're all very familiar with all the entities that are there. The Midi Cultural District includes the Fine Arts Museum, the Gladys Porter Zoo, the Children's Museum, and all those museums that are in this area. The City Commission adopted in 2013 a master hike and bike plan. It was a great plan, and we're moving towards implementing it. The City Commission also adopted a Complete Streets resolution in October 2012, the sidewalk ordinance, which has been very successful in December of 2011, the safe passing ordinance, the bike parking ordinance, and we also did a Bike Texas partnership, and recently the NACTO guidelines. This is to show that the policy of the commission that the commission has set is towards improving the hike and bike capacity of the city. The awards that we've received received the AARP Age-Friendly City designation, the Robert Wood Johnson Culture of Health Prize, the Texas Trails and Active Transportation Awards, and once again, the All-American City by the National Civic League. This is a set of images. This is the Midi Cultural District, including downtown. These are the schools in the area. You can see that Cummings, Resaca, Pugnat, and the Early College High School, where the old BISD building on Palm Boulevard. This is Gladys Porter Zoo, and this is the trails that are already built. The Battlefield Trail that brings you from Palo Alto National Park to Linear Park. The Belden Trail, which connects West Brownsville into this area. The future cemetery Resaca improvements. The future enhancement project that has been funded by TxDOT. And what's really blatant here is that you see a gap between the end of the Belden Trail, which is right there, right behind Village Center, Shopping Center, and 6th Street and the rest of this corridor. So the challenge is, how do we connect Belden, the end of Belden, to 6th Street and then beyond, and so that we can connect this whole system. The idea is to connect the system. So we identified 6th Street, and there is an ability to remove the lane. And this is the current condition of 6th Street. You see the zoo fence here in the 3 lanes. And this is just another view of 6th Street. And this is from the new visitor center that's going to be occupied by the CVB. You see a bike in the picture, and you see the Gladys Porter Zoo sign there. A lot of cities throughout the country, throughout the world, have started to take back streets and really try to improve the pedestrian experience throughout their city. And these are some of the things that they've used. You see the wide sidewalk here with a lot of landscaping. You see the bike lane. And you see that it's separated from traffic. The same thing here, you see landscaping, you see the bike lane, and then you also see the sidewalk with a lot of landscaping. Anywhere you go, you start to see these projects. And there's also bike lanes that are separated from traffic as well. So these are the proposed enhancements. These are all conceptual. This is a conceptual plan. And you see here in this picture that this is a pedestrian on 6th Street currently, which is, I don't think it's a very good environment for a pedestrian. This is what the concept is, to improve aesthetically 6th Street and to obviously make the pedestrian a lot more comfortable so that he can get around this Midi Cultural District much easier. This is another image of what it would look like. The project also includes an overlay of 6th Street. So that's why we put that in there. And then this is another image closer to the courthouse, and that's what that would look like. This is the condition. One of the main concerns is the condition over on Ringgold and 6th Street. How would traffic be handled there? So you see that the third lane here would be a right hand only, turning on Ringgold. And the other 2 lanes would be turning left or going straight. The funding for this is New Freedom grant funding. It's been about 4 years that this grant has been around. 15 miles of sidewalks throughout the city, about $1 million. It's covered pretty much everywhere. Central, Boca Chica, Pablo Quisel, Billy Mitchell, West Brownsville, International, Land O'Lakes, Price, Mexico Boulevard, and 802. This project does include the overlay improvements that are already budgeted. And the remaining funding of the New Freedom Grant is being used to fund the sidewalk improvements and the ADA improvements. At this point, Dodo can talk to you about the technical aspects of the project.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I was asked to present to you the proposed improvements that we're doing along 6th Street. If you can see here, let me just orient you. This is Ringgold right here. The zoo is located in this area right here. This is 6th Street. The existing conditions for 6th Street, we have 3 lanes that are approximately 12 feet in width, and we have a 4-foot sidewalk. So we have approximately 40 feet from the fence line of the zoo to the back of curb on the, what would be the south side of 6th Street. What we're proposing to do is have 2 13-foot lanes, a 6-foot green area, a 6-foot sidewalk, and a 2-foot green area before you get to the fence. And I'll just go down 6th Street and let you know the improvements that are being proposed. Originally, we had a bike lane that was being proposed in this area. That got removed because we already have a bike lane on the historical bike trail, and we relocated that further down to Harrison Street in front of the federal courthouse. As you go down right here, we have a little, like a turning lane for the zoo for their first gate, and then we continue with green area along 6th Street. This is the entrance to the parking lot of the zoo. As we continue down, we get to the parking lot of the law offices that are located a little bit down the street on 6th Street. We continue down 6th Street. It's with the same cross-section where we have still 2 12-foot lanes. 13-foot lanes, the 6-foot green area, the sidewalk, and the green buffer area between the fence and the sidewalk. We have another gate for the zoo. We continue going down with that similar cross-section up until we get to the intersection of Harrison. This is a federal courthouse right here, and this is the end of the historic battlefield trail. At that point, we're proposing a crosswalk to connect the historical battlefield trail with the Belden Trail through 6th Street. Along here, we're going to continue with the bike trail. In here, the cross-section is going to change a little bit. We're going to have the remaining 13-foot lanes, and we will have, in that 6-foot green area is going to turn into a 6-foot bike lane with a 2-foot shoulder that'll protect the people that are on bikes to connect to the both the Belden Trail and the bike barn. That cross-section continues all the way up to Old Alice or Jackson. At that point, it's going to turn right, or our project finishes here, but at this point, it would turn right, the bike lane, to connect to the Belden Trail. And that cross-section that we have with the bike lane would continue all the way down till we get to Madison Street. From Ringgold to Madison Street, we're proposing to overlay the road as well. And this is a termination of the project at Madison Street. I'll let Robert talk to you about the traffic counts and traffic in this area.
Don't leave just yet.
Go ahead.
I'm glad that you're here because I need your engineering, I need your opinion on this. We drive 6th Street, and a lot of the people here drive 6th Street all the time. I'm not an engineer. I'm not pretending to do your job. But by driving on that road, it needs more than an overlay. Are you telling me that all it needs is an overlay? You can just go in there and tear it off?
Well,
or has that base been tested?
There are some portions of 6th Street that would probably need some base repair, and we would do spot repairs before we would do the overlay. I mean, most of the street is not in that bad of a condition. There are some areas, obviously, where PUB's worked in front of the federal courthouse, and our director's here in case I misspeak. I'm sure he'll correct me. But in that area along the federal courthouse, there are some areas that PUB has done some repairs, and we do have some settlement that has occurred. We'd obviously go in and repair those areas before we do the overlay. but most of the, I'd say probably about 70% or 80% of the street is probably, will do very well with an overlay. I mean, we have, that's, that original cross-section for that road is not your typical city standard cross-section. We have, I believe, 6 inches of type A asphalt right below the asphalt, which is, I mean, usually you have 6 inches of subgrade, 6 inches of base material, and 2 inches of asphalt. In this particular case, we have the 6 inches of subgrade, your 6 inches of your limestone, then you have about 6 inches of black base, and then 2 inches of asphalt. So we're just going to remove the top 2 inches of asphalt and overlay that. And the areas that do need repairs, obviously, because PUB has done some work and they had some issues there, we will repair those areas before we do the full overlay.
If you do need to do the complete overlay,
Well, yeah, total, yeah.
if you need to do the overlay and the reconstruction, do you have the money right now to do it?
The full reconstruction, no.
Yes. Or the
No.
overlay? Do you have the money in place for the overlay?
For the overlay, money's general fund coming from? It's not my project, that's
No, that's fine.
Good afternoon. Yeah, yes, Commissioner, we do have funding available for that out of our CIP accounts.
for the overlay.
For the overlay, and like Dora mentioned, some spot repairs that would need additional attention. Yes, we do.
Let's talk about your CIP.
Okay.
So I've needed money, and now you have CIP money.
I mean,
Okay,
not a lot, but enough to cover that.
we're good.
Mayor's Commission, on the 6th Street traffic counts, we made a traffic impact study, a small one, to consider the flow of traffic. And we did it we started on a Wednesday, and we ended up on a Thursday morning, we pulled the counters out. We went ahead and designed the traffic control to force right on 6th Street before you hit Ringo. And we went ahead and clipped off the right lane on 6th Street as you pass Ringo Street. This is the counts that we have for the counts for those days. Now, the reason we did a little bit longer is to make sure that we didn't have any trouble with the counts that we'll say, well, school's not there yet. I do have right here in front of me some counts that we made on 2014. We can turn around, I'll show you that in the counts there. But this counts right here, we're considered at 13,586 on that's the right turns only on 6th Street. And the total of the whole thing was 28,855. So this is the whole total for the whole day since we started it. This is your totals. And also the next to the zoo was 6106 and 9047. So that's on the northwest bound. This traffic was very light considering the 3 lanes. Oh, thank you. There's the numbers. Okay. So as we look at the numbers, there they are right there in front of you. You should turn around. Now, if we want to go ahead and make this into a 2-lane, there'll be sufficient flow of traffic going through there. I just didn't think of these numbers up. I contacted traffic engineer from Houston. Also, I talked to Albert Adana from Adana Engineer of Traffic, and we sent him the numbers and to verify. It's always good to verify yourself twice, not just say, Mrs. Robert says this. And they said that it was more sufficient for those 2 lanes to handle the traffic. Those 3 lanes were really designed way back in the 70s for heavy trucks, heavy traffic to go to the B&M Bridge. It was never, they were trying to design Amigoland, towards the Amigoland Mall, towards the bridge that was designed to open it up and buy more right-of-way, to make more land, to make a bridge over 6th Street into the Amigoland Mall. That project died out pretty fast after everything changed going up north. So that was just there. And it really doesn't make much difference when you pass Madison, you will go back to a 2-lane road. So with a 2-lane road there, and it handles the traffic very well during Charles days, it handles traffic very well during Sombrero Fest. There's some individuals that don't think that this is sufficient to 2 lanes is going to hurt the city. It's really not going to hurt them. It's really going to extend more into, more beautification for the area, better flow, much safer for children to walk by, since School's there, they walk around, they play around, they push everybody to the right lane. They've done that a few times, I've seen it many times, so it needs to be widened for their safety wise. I don't see a issue here of any traffic problems, and I really think it'd be good for the city of Brownsville to go ahead and proceed with this project.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I hate to put you on the spot like this.
No, it's okay.
But within District 2, we just had a meeting with a bunch of constituents, and they were concerned about crosswalk time. And it was a very similar situation across 802 and Vermilion Road. And so the most important part about it is that we needed to count the traffic during school time. And from what I saw, that was during June. So I'm just confused. Was there a traffic analysis taken while Cummings Middle School
Yes.
is active?
I have it right here, I'll show it to
Okay,
you.
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, no, I just was curious because I
Excuse me.
hadn't seen it.
Those counts right there it should be able to tell you when it's the peak hours. And on that meeting, you requested was, not to get off the subject, was, with the reason it was there was the timings. We went ahead and readjusted the timings, and we're going to replace those pedestrian signals.
Right.
We're going to make them 2 counters, so that way they have enough, they'll know, instead of flashing, they're going to know that the count is right up. So there was nothing wrong with the timing. What it was confusing due to the pedestrian pads. But we went ahead and changed those. We're going to change those hopefully next week sometime. We're going to redesign the whole light.
Thank you very much. I
You're welcome,
appreciate it.
Commissioner.
Robert, I don't know if this is a question for you or our engineering department, but, and I mean, I'm all for the pros of this project. I believe in it. But as we saw that PUB project on 6th and 7th Street on both sides of by the police station and the courthouse, they took a long time. So if we're down to 2 lanes and we have to close one, would we be okay traffic-wise?
Well, the reason PUB took a long time because they were having, I'm no, PUB expert here, but I do know that they were having trouble because of the I guess when they're putting the pipe down, they were hitting a lot of water problems. They had to do a lot of perk wells on that, so that's why took a long time, because they had to get the water out. But like I say, it's not going to turn around. It's not going to make any difference if you're in 2 lanes or 3 lanes. If you're in the left lane, you can make left turns and straights. So you're not going to have any. This is a 24-hour count, by the way. This count's a lot more different. This is only 24-hour count during school peak time. So this count will be automatically much higher than the count you have now. But back to the lanes, the left lanes will be automatically turned, so it's not going to delay traffic. So if you're going to your left, you just turn your signal on, you turn left.
Mm-hmm.
So, and your right, the center lane will keep on going straight. There shouldn't be any delays. The light will be retimed. The light can be retimed. We can reprogram the signal. The signal can be reprogrammed to meet the early morning traffic flows, during 12 flows, and then the afternoon evenings. Evenings, not very much. Mostly it's on 7th Street, heavy traffic. But the signal can be readjusted to meet the demand of higher flow of traffic. So we shouldn't have any problems there.
At capacity-wise, what percentage is this street being used? Like, obviously it can handle more, right?
Oh, yeah, the capacity, we can handle a lot more. I think those 2 lanes can handle a lot more traffic than it shows, believe it or not. You can have Charo Days, you can have Sombrero Fest, you can have Boo at the Zoo, and you still be able to handle the traffic.
Because the 3 lanes don't run for the full length of the street.
No, they don't. The 3 lanes, they shipped in Madison. And that's as far as it goes, but it's not going to affect any Charo Days or any Sombrero Fest or anything. I won't be out here telling you this if I didn't know any better not to do it. I will not do something that's going to turn around and hit our city.
So would it be fair to say that the staff was recommending that we do this project?
I recommend that it continue to do it. I recommend, that's me.
Ramiro, would that be also your recommendation?
Well, let me just finish up here. This is the last slide, and this is staff recommendations. So as you can see, engineering, traffic, and planning support the project moving forward because it'll be a great improvement to the city. It'll improve pedestrian safety along 6th Street and at those important intersections, which is Harrison and Ringgold. It'll make improvements to the Midi Cultural District. The Midi Cultural District is on board. There is a letter in your package showing that. It'll improve how the tourists that visit the zoo, how they view the city. It'll improve the pedestrian experience for the coming students. And finally, it'll provide that connection to Belden into the Midi Cultural District. So as you can see, all staff supports this project.
I have one last question.
Yes, sir.
The grant is being funded by TxDOT?
TxDOT, yes.
So obviously they wouldn't fund it if they didn't approve the project?
No, the drawings have been approved by TxDOT, and everything is in order, ready to go for this project.
I have a quick question, I guess, for Carlos. You said that part of it would come from CIP funds. Do we know how much exactly?
The part of the road construction, we're looking about 150,000 for the overlay and the pavement repairs.
For the entire project?
Well, from Ringgold to Madison, that stretch of 6th Street from Ringgold to Madison.
So for this entire project, it would be the 150,000 grant money?
Well, that's separate.
No.
The overlay.
The overlay is a separate portion. It's separate and apart from this project. This project includes the sidewalks and, the landscaping enhancements and all that. Where we would come in.
Right, so the total to do this, our portion and the money that we're getting is 300,000?
About 400,000 would be a better estimate, yes.
400,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, it is a public hearing. Do we have any comments from the public? David?
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Hi, I'm David Willis, and I live on 515 Kairatama, and my office again is on 1534 East 6th Street, and this is the second time that I've come before you on this issue. The first time I came here was in response to an article that I had read that they were going to put a bike lane on 6th Street and close one lane. Since that time, Doro Garcia was nice enough to meet with me. And he then showed me a revised set of plans that had taken out the bike lane on 6th Street and replaced it with, I guess, some sort of tree line and a larger sidewalk. And then he, I guess, described for me what I saw here. And I agree that that all sounds really nice. And I like it. I think the idea of making a city more walkable and with easier access to bicycles is very important. However, I think it also needs to be balanced against what is it doing to the current situation. And the current situation on 6th Street has a whole number of people going to the courthouses, trying to get there in time for court or jury duty or naturalization services. You have a whole bunch of people taking a right or going straight to go to school. And then you have a bunch of downtown merchants who are trying to get their goods and services in. And then you got trucks going even straighter to deliver their things to the warehouse. I said last time, and I say it again, that 6th Street works. Right now, you can go there at the busiest time in the morning, and it's fine. You can handle all the school buses to your right. If there's an occasional 18-wheeler to your left or in the middle, you can get around, and you can always make the left turn going to the courthouse. Mr. Garcia also showed me, I think, the data that was displayed here. One of the reports was a traffic count from June of this year, and I will say that a traffic count near a school in June is like testing the AC in a car in winter. There's nothing there to see. And so he then showed me another traffic count that was purported to take place in February, and I think that that was the larger set of data there. And I don't remember what it was that was the date, but I remember it being in late February. And I think, and I can't tell if it's on or not, but if it was February 26th, that would be a Wednesday. 25th would be a Tuesday. And I looked up on my phone right now, and Sombrero Fest started on Thursday the 27th. So was school open on the 26th, the Wednesday? I don't know. I don't have kids in school. But I do know that when you get close to Child Days, most of the time you don't have school. You get parades and things like that. So I wonder if those numbers are even accurate. And even if they are accurate, to me, those numbers are comfortable. I'm okay with the number of cars that go down in a certain amount of time. And I think it's undisputed that by reducing a lane, it'll increase the congestion, right? I think that's plain. So where's the balance? What are we exchanging increased congestion for? And the balance is, okay, we want a nicer looking street. I don't ever know if you'll ever get it. When you go down 6th Street, you have a couple of warehouses there, and then you have a fence. Whether or not that's fixed, I don't know. And then if that's the end, and if it's a draw, and the balance is there, and then the final determination is, well, we got to spend the money by August. I'm sure somewhere in that grant writing process it says, do you need the money, as opposed to you want it? And if it's a draw, I think that would be a want as opposed to a need. And so you'd have almost a moral obligation to not take and spend money that is unnecessary. And for that reason, I am against that project. I like bikes. I wish I could ride bikes more often. I quit riding bikes because I kept reading all the articles in the newspaper of people getting run over. I support it all the way, but I don't support it on 6th Street where I live.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Stella, are we going to have a time limit on, I didn't want to cut David off. It's not a problem, David. But just a second. I'm going to take a, huh?
You can set the time limit.
Yeah, let's just do it for 3 minutes like we do public. But I'm going to have to take a point of personal privilege. I have to leave. My son's got an appointment with a doctor tomorrow. And though I asked Mark whether I could vote in abstention, but I don't think that that's probably available to me. I will say that I do am in favor of the staff recommendation. And I urge everybody to take a look at some of the developments. And I understand David happens to be a dear friend of mine, along with his dad, Pat, over there, and his mom, Lucy. But I think there may be a trade-off. I don't think it's so much spending the money as far as I've looked at this subject, but of course everybody's entitled to their opinion. I respect that very much, and I thank everybody for being here. But at this point, Estela, I think you're the pro tem for this month. So again, I apologize for not being here for the rest of this meeting, but it's something I have to do. Go ahead, Estela. You gonna sit there? I don't know. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Sorry.
Hello, my name's Stephen Hall. Been a bicycle mechanic for about 7 years. Been riding bikes since I was born, basically. I support the 6th Street being changed to a bike lane, or just anywhere, in fact. I try to cycle as much as I can. I enjoy cycling. I think it's a great sport. The people that I meet, they're different. It's a different breed. And I mean, there probably is a lot of opposing to, different issues, money or whatnot, but maybe just having some way to get around town a little bit easier and away from vehicles would be greatly appreciated. I mean, I've never had any issues with getting hit on my bicycle. I'm very smart about the way that I ride, but driving or riding down 6th Street right now is, I hate to say, suicide almost, sometimes. And you can't ride on the sidewalk, especially if you're on a road bike. If you're on a mountain bike or something, you could ride on the sidewalk, but that's pretty much impossible. It's too narrow. So I think, doing something, just bringing more bike lanes to Brownsville maybe kind of would change people's idea about cycling in general. Not to say that it's a very negative idea, but just, something would be nice. I try to ride downtown and ride around College a lot. And right now, I live at the beginning of Palm Boulevard, and the only way for me to get there is to ride straight down Palm Boulevard. And actually, that's a whole lot safer than riding down 6th Street for some reason. I don't know. I don't get swerved in front of as much as I do on 6th Street for some weird reason. And it's a 2-lane road on Palm Boulevard, so maybe because it's a smaller street, there's only 2 lanes, that maybe that has something to do with the way that people, look at it, and they're like, you know what, I don't want to go down Palm Boulevard. I'd rather go down 6th Street, which would be faster. Maybe the same way as Boca Chica. You would never ride down Boca Chica because it's a 3-lane highway almost, or let alone 802. So I firmly believe that it would be nice just to kind of do something for everybody, the public, Again, I know that, you know, it's what, $500,000 to get this done, but you know, why not? What's wrong with doing something like that? What's wrong with changing the way that Brownsville is? You know, let's change the way that, you know, Brownsville, you know, let's make it towards Austin or something, you know, let's make it a little more friendly, you know. Maybe people will get out there and exercise a little bit. Aren't we like the #1 in obesity or diabetes or something like that? You know, just simply riding your bike. I hear stories from everybody that they love it. It's a great sport. It's easy on their knees, everything in general. So I hope that you guys will allow it, or I don't know. So anyways.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioner. My name is Jesse Miller. I live on 250 West 8th Street in West Brownsville. And I just want to say that streets should really be thought of as places for people, not just things for cars. He was mentioning the difference between 6th Street and Palm Boulevard right now. Palm Boulevard is a street that's more for people. It's more aesthetic. It has nicer sidewalks. 6th Street is for cars, and I don't think that can be argued against, that it's strictly a car street. And we have this bike trail, but hike and bike trail that ends. And I like to ride that trail, and I like to ride my bike to the farmer's market. And the problem with going from Linear Park back home is 6th Street and having to constantly look over your back to make sure that nobody's going to run into you. If this is a moral issue, as it was brought up before, we've put effort and money into bringing people to Linear Park. We should make a safe way to go from Linear Park to downtown or to West Brownsville. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gerardo Canales. I'm a student from Cummings, and when I come out of school, I have trouble like with the people, with the students coming out of the school, and like not having enough space to ride my bike, because I always ride my bike. And it would be nice to have a lane closed just for cyclists could be riding their bike. And
So we take it you support the project. You're in support of the
yes,
project.
I support the project.
Thank you. Keep riding your bike. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jerry Reese, and I've been a lifelong cyclist. It's actually generational, with my grandfather riding to the Port of Brownsville, my father riding to work, and myself doing the same. I haven't used the car in over 20 years, I think, and in some pretty dangerous places sometimes, like Mexico City. And but Brownsville is becoming more friendly. I hope you all support this. I just think of the economic aspects, which I think you all are worried about. And there was this one presentation we had from a Colombian who started the Ciclovia, and I always wanted to bring up that point about how economically it helped a certain area. Somebody was complaining about the 90 parking spaces that we're going to lose. And instead, when they went ahead and opened it up for pedestrians and for cyclists, and they were just inundated with people. And of course, he brought up the question, now ask me if that proprietor has any problems about those parking spaces not being there anymore. Well, of course not. I mean, it was just, I think it was somewhere in Copenhagen or Amsterdam or something, which we need to look towards, because those are the places that are bringing in money. If that's what you're looking for, there's money in this. There's no way to turn back the clock and go back to a car-centric community. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work as community, which is people. People are the ones that make a community. And I'm one of those that live, born and raised here downtown. I ride 6th Street all the time. And believe me, I hate it. Because I hear it coming, I'm like, will they sideswipe me, will they not? As a 3rd grader, I got hit by a freight truck. Luckily, they're on Madison and 6th. And I had the right of way. I was coming in from school, crossing Madison, going to Jefferson, East Jefferson, where I'm born and raised, my family's still there. And he just didn't see me. And luckily, he had to stop and just lurched. And luckily, I'm still here to speak. And I'm still cycling. So if you're thinking from an economic aspect, it's a no-brainer. It's just going to open up from the connection from the cultural district there, from the zoo to, I hope, connecting through, I always had hope, going behind there by the cemetery and connecting down there to the Belden Trail and to those eateries and the other businesses. And if not, going downtown and to those businesses that are soon going to open up. It's just exciting to see what's going to happen. But if we stay the way we're going to stay, well, it's just going to be the same old paved, noisy, congested traffic that we tend to see. And I'm not saying it's congested right now, but I mean just the amount of traffic. What we really want to see are people traffic. And seeing everybody ambulatory and healthy, and that's just definitely the way to go. So I definitely support this project. I hope we continue with it. I use it constantly. I walk through it as well, and I'm just as scared when I walk it as well, because you hear those cars coming and you just hope they haven't been drinking or something, and don't veer off or on their text or texting or calling on their cell phones. And so just want to keep it safe. And definitely it'll be exciting, it'll be beautiful if this goes on. So
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, good evening. I was here about 2 weeks ago stating my position on this project. And I'm all for making Brownsville more beautiful, and I stated it 2 weeks ago. But please consider, that street is already a high-traffic route, and it has trailers, 53-foot trailers, plus 17 more feet for the tractors. And I just feel that if we're going to spend $400,000, spend it somewhere else. Put sidewalks on Ringgold Street all the way towards Palm Boulevard. Find more efficient ways to use that money instead of utilizing a high-traffic street, and that's what 6th Street is all about. The the industrial area in Fronton Street depends on 6th Street to receive raw goods. And if that is ever blocked, or if we have to find alternatives, what is it going to be? Central Boulevard, all the way down to Elizabeth Street, and then in Elizabeth Street, take a right on Palm Boulevard. Let me tell you, that corner cannot handle 53-footers. The other alternative is 12th Street, go all the way through downtown. If you want to do that, that will happen. But industry is going to keep on working and employing, just in that small industrial area, more than 500 people. The traffic count, I made a traffic count yesterday of 100 vehicles in the afternoon on 6th Street and Ringgold Park. And 17 vehicles turned right, 8 turned left, and 75% of them kept on going towards Elizabeth and Fronton Street. Plus, please consider the future activity on Amigo Line area that's going to need more and more streets and lanes going towards Amigo Line. I don't want to bore you repeating what I said 2 weeks ago, and I will only repeat myself of saying, hey, make all the beautiful changes that you want to do on the wall of the zoo, but spend those $400,000 more efficiently, please.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Doro, I had a quick clarification. The previous version that I had seen, and I know you mentioned this right now, but the previous version that I had seen had an actual bike lane. And I think what you mentioned earlier is that it wouldn't have a bike lane?
The bike lane is going to terminate at Harrison, where the federal courthouse is at. From the federal courthouse to Ringgold, it will not have a bike lane. It's just a 6-foot sidewalk.
So it'll continue.
Yeah, on the
Yes,
crosswalk.
well, they have to cross the street at one point anyways. So they have to cross, they either cross here or they would cross at Ringgold. But then we would have a duplicate bike trail because we already have the bike trail for the park in this area. So we just left the bike trail terminate here at, to terminate right here at Harrison Street.
It'll continue after the Belden Trail ends at the federal courthouse?
Yeah, it'll continue through the
That's-
bike trail that's already existing
Okay.
on the park.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Morales, and I am a cyclist that splits his time between San Antonio and Brownsville. And when I think about these two cities, San Antonio, we talk about a lot of the same issues. We talk about like revitalization of downtown. In San Antonio, a lot of that happened because we made downtown San Antonio more bike friendly. You see a lot more people using the streets. And the places where we don't have that, me specifically, I've been clipped by cars, in parts of San Antonio that don't have bike lanes. But the question for I think, us here is whether or not we do have this moral obligation that's been talking about. And when we think about revitalization and about making communities safer and more walkable and more friendly to young people, to young professionals that are trying to make a difference in both of these cities, bike lanes and a biking culture really helps push that forward. And so I urge the city of Brownsville to pass this motion.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Charlie, I have a quick question. I don't know if we have this information or not, but is it true that 90% of the students at Cummings are bused in from other areas?
I wouldn't want to comment on a specific number. My understanding, my view of it is that most of the students that go to Cummings, a lot of them, a big percentage of them live in the neighborhoods that surround the school.
Okay.
But yes, there is busing.
I heard there's a tremendous amount. Okay.
When school lets out, there's a lot of kids walking home
Yeah.
from Cummings. There's no doubt about that.
And they often cross at Ringgold to get to Linear Park because it's more
Correct.
comfortable to walk through Linear Park.
Yeah.
And that crossing,
And I see
is
that
an
traffic on a
insecurity.
daily basis because my office is on Sixth Street, so I have
Yeah, there's a
no
lot.
concerns with the traffic congestion on there, and I see it in the morning and in the afternoons, and I see those children do tend to cross over.
They cut over, so I just don't know why.
Yeah, they live in the neighborhoods, in the downtown neighborhoods, in the area of the recreation center and things like that. So there's a lot of children that do walk home. But there's a lot of children that are bused in.
many of them live in Buena Vida and also in West Brownsville.
I just don't see why. Well, okay.
Hi, my name is Yesenia Campillo. I'm an industrial engineer, and I just started biking this year. I was invited to the Brownsville Bike Brigade group because of my cousin. She was one of the founding mothers. So I started doing it as a way of exercising, but now I can see it as a way of like transport around the city, or like even going back and forth from between Brownsville and Matamoros, and even avoid those like long waiting lines at the bridge. What do we want as cyclists? We don't want to get in the way of cars because one, they will respect us more if we don't like slow them down, and we don't want to be hit by any like distracted driver, drunk driver, whatever. So I think like more bike lanes will like serve either like both the cyclists, like we will feel safer, and for the drivers, they will like can keep the streets for themselves. I think it's a pretty good idea to connect the Belden Trail to the Linear Park, which the bike trail that goes all the way to Palo Alto, because it's like building a freeway and then like just stop building it and then having another like segment, but don't have like a piece between, like, you know, like a bridge without a part in the middle. It's like you need to connect those lanes. It seems like reasonable to me. And for the moral obligation you've been talking about, it's like Brownsville needs to protect its citizens, and not all citizens drive cars. So if you have the obligation to protect the people who's driving a car, you also have the obligation to protect the people who wants to walk or who wants to ride their bike. And don't get me wrong, I love cars, and I love like big V8s engines or whatever, but like it is impossible to be driving around. Like if you're just gonna go like 3 blocks away, or like if you live in the neighborhood and you go to Cummins like for school, or you wanna go to the zoo, like if it's not a big distance, you can actually bike there. Like I actually walk to work because I don't have like a reserved parking space for my bike, but I'm trying to get one because I would rather bike there than walk, because it's safer and it's faster. And like I love riding around in my car. It's like releases stress or whatever, but I much rather ride on my bike because it's fun, it's healthy, and it's good for environment too.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Hello everyone, I'm Daniel Cruz. I work for BISD Food Nutrition Service. I'm a graphic artist, and I have the privilege of having the availability of the linear trail. I call it the superhighway for me because I commute to work. I mean, it makes it very easy. And projects like these are very innovative. You know, they push the city in a forward progression. I feel like these are the ideas that you have to implement. I mean, if you want to change the city, I mean, I see a lot of growth and development. I mean, I've only been back for about like 6 months, but I see a lot of progression and a lot of positives coming out of this. So I'm all for the project, and I would like to see it.
Thank you for your comments. Do you have any more? I know that the commission received some letters from some individual residents. Did everybody receive the letters from the McNair family?
Yes.
There were some other comments that were presented to me specifically, and I addressed those with Doroteo with regards to future residents building and how would that impact their ingress or egress on that. Doroteo, did you get a chance to review that and address that with the individuals?
Yes, all the residents in that area, none of their driveways are going to be shut down. I mean, we're making accommodations for everybody to have access that's along that roadway and anywhere where those improvements are being done.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am?
Hello, my name's Melissa Delgado, and I'm the director for the Brownsville Wellness Coalition. There are several reasons which I am in favor for this project. We have the farmers market at Linear Park every Saturday from 9 to 12. And it would be wonderful to have walkways that are more accessible. This whole area has the zoo, 2 museums, and the market. Also, the Parks and Recreation Department is right there, so there's many children also in this area. The bike barn is also down the street. So if we had an easier access for everybody to walk, to make it nicer, it is an area that is growing. So we are very much in favor of this project. We would hate for anybody to get hurt. Right now, it is not easy to get from one area to the other. Also, I was very fortunate to go to Denver and with the city and to visit the healthiest cities in the nation. The healthiest cities in the nation have this infrastructure. What I see this as is the seed that is planted for our citizens to start using these bike lanes, these hike and bikes, in order to become a healthier community. If we don't build them, I see that what other alternative do we have? Our citizens do not have, we are also the poorest city, in which this is, for many, the only way of transportation. I know I deal a lot with Youth Build and with TSC students, and many of them do not see this as an alternative method of transportation, using their bikes. Some people may turn down a job just because it's a few miles away and they don't have that transportation. If we do connect our entire city and make it safer and easier for people to get to work, I think that our whole city will become healthier and more profitable.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Well, sorry, again, I'm sorry, another question. While I agree with everybody thinking that, I agree too, biking definitely is a better alternative than riding a vehicle. I just still have concerns about closing the third lane. I mean, there's a bike trail in the center of Linear Park, and so to me, it kind of really doesn't jive, but that's my opinion.
I think that you have to consider we have to consider a couple of things. We're talking about basically 2 blocks. It's not a 5-mile street that we're closing a lane for 5 miles. It's a couple of blocks. It's 2 lanes already from Madison to Fronton. That's not changing at all. Second is safety. And yes, there is a trail there, but how do you get there? And it is fairly lucky that we haven't had a pedestrian or bicycle accident at either one of those corners crossing over, because I've almost gotten hit there. And if you stand on that corner at the zoo looking towards the museum, if I was an old person trying to park at the museum and walk to the zoo with a walker or a wheelchair or a stroller, it's not a very safe way to cross there, especially if it's during a busy time. So yes, there is a trail there, but how do you get to that trail? If there's a wall between you and the trail, then the trail really doesn't matter. And the other is the comment that struck me the most was what one of the people spoke, was that roads are for people. They're for transportation. They're not just for cars. They're for walkers and bikers and people with strollers and all of the above. And when you look at all of the most modern technology, tenets of TxDOT and the national transportation and all of that, it is all about multimodal transportation and providing for all modes of transportation, not just a car. So we're looking at a couple of blocks worth of asphalt. We're not looking at a 10-mile stretch that crosses from one end of the city to the other.
I agree, and I know where you're coming from, and I think nobody here is against complete streets or safe routes to school or bike lanes or any of that. For me, it's a difficult issue because I can relate to some of the business owners. I can relate to the people that use that street frequently. And my issue, which I think is where Commissioner Tetra is coming from, I feel $400,000 is a lot of money. And because we are a city that has a lot of residents that are considered in poverty, and because we have a lot of people that use bicycles, I would like to see these amounts of, or this same amount of money allocated to the southmost area. The southmost area doesn't have sidewalks in all these areas, and I feel this particular street, we have the protected linear park. I mean, I agree that these are wonderful things, but my only concern is this the best use of these funds? Because as I understand, it's only $150,000 that will pay for the sidewalk, but the rehabbing of the street is coming from CIP, so.
Doro,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but please correct if I'm wrong. The overlay of the street, the $200,000 or whatever that is gonna happen either way.
Yes.
That is not gonna go away. So it's not like
Regardless.
taking $400,000 and putting it someplace else. The $200,000 or more, because if you keep it at 3 lanes, the overlay will be more.
150 is the sidewalk portion that we have
That's
allocated
gonna
for
happen
the federal
either
grant.
way.
I know I have areas.
And as far as, just to address your southmost, we're getting ready to start on a trail in the southmost area that'll start at Porter, and it'll go along the canal, all the way to Del Castillo. That should be coming before you all probably in August sometime.
Doro, what
Go.
gets me on this,
Bless you.
and I'm trying to be objective about it, and it's really to Ramiro. I need you over here, Ramiro, not really Doro. Yeah, okay, my assistant city manager explained to me about that either way, we're gonna overlay 6th Street, and the money's there. yet it's out of CIP. It's coming out of the city's budget, okay? So you've got 150,000 left on the grant that you need to spend. Viable project, you found a project, you presented it. But yet $250,000 are coming to match a $150,000 grant.
I don't, it's not a match.
But it is being spent. In other words, resources or money from the city are being spent. In other words, if you're telling me, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, but we did the math, you know, if it's a $400,000 overall project, you've got $150,000 grant, $150,000 you need to spend.
These two projects just so happen to align. They were never intended to be done together. The 6th Street project is something that we've been looking at for quite some time already. We just didn't have the money available for it. I don't recall the exact street project that we have these surplus funds from, but that's when this happened, probably about 6 months back when the funding became available for this. This 150,000 were allocated probably back in May. And the construction of both of these occurring together is basically, we didn't want to overlay the street, come back in and tear it out to do a 6-foot sidewalk improvement. So we're like, hey, you know what? We're doing these two projects, let's just do them together. We have an opportunity to save some money. I never thought it would become to what it is today, but that's why we're here before you to present the item to get your decision on how you all want us to proceed on this.
A gentleman earlier brought up an interesting point. What about Ringgold Street? Because there really isn't adequate sidewalks outside of the Dean Porter Park area.
We didn't want to elaborate too much on everything that we're doing on this project, but we are doing improvements to Ringgold Street. On Ringgold Street, depending on the outcome of this item is what improvements we're going to end up doing to Ringgold Street. If we do narrow it down to 2 lanes, we may have some funding available to repair some of the spots that are pretty bad on Ringgold Street, but for sure what is going to happen on Ringgold, we are going to create a center lane or extend the middle lane to create a turning lane into the parking so we don't obstruct traffic. A lot of the traffic obstruction you have on Ringgold is from unloading of the buses for the kids at the zoo. Unfortunately, it's state law that when a bus is unloading kids, you cannot travel in either direction. So I mean, that we can't avoid, but we will create a loading zone or an unloading zone for these buses in case they're not dropping off kids. They can be staged there and not necessarily blocking traffic, and traffic can go, you know, we'll still have continuous flow, because one thing that we did realize with the traffic counts is that Ringgold does have a lot more traffic than we expected to see.
And even if the sidewalks were extended to Palm Boulevard on Ringgold, that still doesn't solve the connection issue, and these funds cannot be used in that area because they're TxDOT approved, and there's no way to reapprove them before the funds expire.
And I mean, the design for the 6th Street improvements was brought before the commission. I don't know the exact date, but it had to have been around April or May when it was brought up to the commission for approval. That was for the design of the 6th Street improvements.
I just feel like there are other parts. I know in Southmost, this could have greatly, greatly been used. And I know within District 2, I have to, you know, we just had a meeting where we are looking for money for sidewalks that are desperately needed in school zones that are major safety issues. And so to me, it just, the amount of, it just, wow. I mean, you know, these projects are very expensive. And I know where I'm sitting, I'm kind of like, wow, you know, okay, to connect the Belden Trail is going to cost us X, Y, Z. And so to know that, you know, the Belden Trail is becoming very expensive very quickly. So I think it's also important to keep your eye on how much money you're spending. Although it's a great thing, it's a great project, you still have to be conscious of other areas and pieces of Brownsville that are just as much in need. And that's why it hurts me so much to know that, you know, $400,000 is a lot of money.
It's not 400,000. It's
No, I know.
150,000.
No, I know.
And I agree with you. Southmost and other areas need them, but these 150,000 cannot be moved.
No, I understand that. They could have been allocated differently to begin with. And I know where they weren't.
Would it be possible? Our
If we
first,
don't-
our
I mean,
first
re-
meeting in August is what day in August? Do we know that? August the 5th. Would it be possible to decide on it that day because the expiration date was August 31st?
Well, you would have to go out to, I mean, Dodo could explain, but you would have to go out to bid.
To bid.
And then procurement, and it would push it into September. I mean, I just want to reflect that the only item before you tonight is to approve that we build the sidewalk. That we don't, it's not the overlay and the sidewalk. The overlay is going to happen no matter what. That's what Dodo was saying. So the only item before you tonight is to approve the 150,000 be spent on the sidewalk.
So you're asking us if we don't vote on the 150, that money's going to be lost?
Absolutely.
So that money's not coming from our budget, it's
That is
coming
not-
from TxDOT.
That is a TxDOT
And if we do
funded.
not vote to authorize it today, we're out of the project and we're out of the money.
Absolutely.
And this is the only way that $150,000 can be spent.
What happened, these plans were sent to TxDOT, I mean, these plans were sent to TxDOT about, we received the notification of approval from TxDOT on, it was probably about 2 weeks ago, more or less, 2 or 3 weeks ago, that we received the approval from them. And it was brought up to, or they asked us to present it to you as a public hearing item to discuss the project because we anticipated some issues. From this point, what we're ready to do is finalize the construction drawings and go to procurement. Procurement will take approximately 2 to 3 weeks, and then we have to come back to the commission for approval of that contract. From that point, we anticipate we're gonna have about 30 days for construction. So that's what makes it very difficult for us to say, you know what, let's just pick another project, because if we were to pick another location right now, I mean, our timeline would be like 2 weeks to construct this, and I mean, it's gonna be very unrealistic timelines. That's the unfortunate problem with this project right now.
And Dodo, I appreciate everything that you've done because you've been very diligent in reaching out to the community, in reaching out to the commissioners, really using every available resource to go back to the drawing board and to consider everyone's comments and suggestions. It's a shame that you were brought on so late in the game because I feel that this continues to happen.
Right.
We're down on the wire, and I know that's what happens with federal funds, and so but thank you. I had
You're
to
welcome.
say thank you for what you've done.
I agree.
This isn't the first time the commission should know about this. This is in our Friday packets. If we had an issue, I think we should have told staff about it a long time ago, not at the very last minute.
I'm not referring to us personal issues. I'm referring to going to the Midi-Cultural District, then going back to the drawing board, then reaching out to the downtown. I'm talking about that
Well,
side
that's
of it.
taken care of.
No, I understand, but I'm saying it's taken care of very late in the game. We should do these things much ahead of time. When the commission
agree.
knows, they should know.
I agree.
On the
But
other
wanting to
hand-
change it to Southmost or Ringgold, I mean, that shouldn't happen right now.
And
I
it
know.
didn't seem prudent to take anything to the Midi-Cultural District that wasn't already approved by TxDOT. Otherwise, we would have wasted their time, and we might not have actually done it if TxDOT did not approve it. So that's why we waited to bring it to the Midi-Cultural District until after TxDOT approval was received. And if it seems late, well, it is, however, that's the way it goes.
Thank you to everybody that's been working very hard on this project. I
Thank
know
you.
there's several concerns that were raised. I do like the project, and I do agree with our commissioners that sometimes these projects are to the last minute, but sometimes we have to work last minute and crunch things up and make things happen. Is there any other people that have any public comment? If not, I
Move
would
to close
entertain-
public hearing?
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What was the motion?
Who to approve? And there was a second. Aye.
Who were the ayes?
Any nays?
Nay.
Motion passes.
Item 7, public hearing and action on third.
Item 7, public hearing and action on third substantial amendment to the home fiscal year 2007 through 2011 one-year action plans from October 2007 to September 2012.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought all these people were here for my public hearing. So, Commissioners, this is the third substantial amendment that we're bringing to you. This is Edgar Garcia, Senior Program Manager, Office of Grant Management. So this is the third substantial amendment that we're bringing to you. Go to next slide. So as you probably already know, as per the city's Citizen Participation Plan and 24 CFR Part 91, the city is required to amend its approved one-year action plan whenever it makes one of the following decisions. So to make a change in the goal, priority, or activity of the consolidated plan, to carry out an activity using funds from any program covered by the consolidated plan not previously covered in the action plan, or to change the purpose, scope, location, or beneficiaries of an activity included in the annual action plan. Furthermore, a substantial amendment to the consolidated plan or annual action plan is defined as a transfer between two or more plan activities that is greater than 50% of the ESG program funds, 30% of the home program funds, or 20% of the CDBG program funds. In this case, because it is home, it will be 30% of the home program funds. There we go. So for the substantial amendment process, we are supposed to have a 30-day comment period. That comment period began June 1st, and it will end today at midnight. We are supposed to have two public hearings. The first one was held last week at our Brownsville Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, and the second one is today. If everything goes as planned, we do plan to submit this substantial amendment to HUD tomorrow. The plan that we bring to you today, or the project rather, is to increase funding allocated to the development of multifamily rental housing units. In this case, a tax credit multifamily rental housing. Right now, we have nothing in the budget for that for various reasons, but we're trying to get $750,000 allocated to that activity and see if we can award it to a tax credit project. There we go. So for this, the city will receive and review applications for the development of tax credit multifamily rental housing complexes, and this is in line with our consolidated plan goal of promoting affordable housing opportunities. Whichever multifamily rental housing development that wants to apply must have already received tax credit allocation status by the state, and this usually requires city financial participation, and so we need to make sure that these developers have already received tax credit status before we even look at it. So because of that, there's been a lot of underwriting that's already occurring, so we know that these projects, rather, are going to be solid. We're just going to see how many units we're getting in exchange and how much money we're going in. We have received 2 applications. We're still reviewing documentation with staff and with our consulting group, but today is really just so that we may be able to award the $750,000 to a tax credit that is appropriate. And that is it for me. I open.
Thank you. Is public comment?
Yes.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Move to approve.
There's a motion?
I'm sorry, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
We don't have any public comments. Item 9, consideration and action to adopt budget amendment resolution number 2014-048 to amend the general fund revenues and expenditures budget, to amend the budget for the reduction of revenues in the landfill tipping fee increase fund, and to amend the budget for additional expenditures and revenues in the capital projects fund, airport fund, public transit fund, and employee benefit fund.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, City Commissioners, finally, we're requesting approval of the submitted budget amendment. In summary, we are adjusting our budget projections and providing line item expenditures as per schedule. I could go over this, the details on this, or if you have specific questions, I could answer those.
Any questions?
Approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 10, consideration and action to authorize the extension of the recycling pilot program.
Move to approve. Charlie.
No, come.
May I present?
Yes, you may.
Good evening now, Mayor Pro Tem, Commissioners, citizens of Brownsville. It's my honor to be here on behalf of Rose Timmer of Healthy Communities. She is out and about gallivanting around the great United States on vacation, and so the task fell to me late last week. So I apologize for not having a spiffy PowerPoint. All of you know I'm really good at those as a professor, and I'm going to spare you those details. I'm here to talk about, specifically to request a 2-month extension to the ongoing curbside recycling pilot project here in the city of Brownsville. I want to back up just a bit to say what the goals of the pilot project were. We are into our 6th month. The project does expire. The current contract with Allied Waste expires July 4th, this Friday. The goals of the pilot project were to, first off, determine if curbside recycling was feasible in Brownsville. And by feasible, I mean sufficient demand for and sufficient compliant participation, so that taxpayers don't see their taxpayer dollars go to waste, and or we enter the city in a risk all or nothing venture, as many other cities have throughout the country, saying the entire city is going to do curbside recycling or the entire city will not do curbside recycling. We also wanted to see what feedback we could get from those constituents that we selected. We wanted to establish working relationships between city staff, the committee that was appointed, the Curbside Recycling Committee, and of course competing vendors. We also wanted to establish a strong education and outreach program, which we have done. And I want to point out the vital role that Rose Timmer has played in this, Healthy Communities, Hilario de Leon from the city, as well as the Green Club Verde at UTV for their tremendous work here and helping us get the word out to those folks that were selected for the curbside recycling. Another goal was to determine what other cities were doing and to see how these best practices in other cities would work here. Some of those that we learned were built off the United Brownsville and Imagine Brownsville report. Single stream recycling, meaning no sorting by the customer. You put all of the recycled goods in one container so that the customer or the taxpayer doesn't have to have 5 different bins, for example, for plastics and metals, et cetera. That's a lot more efficient and a lot higher compliant participation rates. No glass, because safety hazard, we don't get the bang for the buck on glass for recycling. No styrofoam. Again, not a big return for that in the recycling area on selling that stuff back, and also it's a huge wind hazard as far as refuse, blowing trash. Learning to pick up on the same days as trash is being picked up. That's something else we've learned and we have implemented throughout the project. And initially we wanted to set up every week because we took this 12-month project to 6 months. I believe that was at the request, I'm not sure of the commission or the city, why we shortened it originally. Yeah, and we decided to go every week. However, based on some of the volumes we're getting, moving forward, we would recommend potentially going to every 2 weeks instead, maybe every first and third trash day of the month. We would also then compile this data into a final report, including the committee's recommendations, and if we have time, some basic economic analysis. Up to date with the work we have done, we selected 1,200 homes. They were spread around all 4 districts of the city. These included District 1, Coolidge, Villahermosa, sections of East Brownsville. There were 463 homes selected in that district. District 2, there were 170 homes in Casa Linda, Estates 1, 2, and 3. In District 3, we had Hidden Valley, Lake Village, Hidden Isle, and Emerald Cove for approximately 350 homes. In District 4, we had some in West Brownsville at 380 homes, and in Briarwick at 74 homes. We selected these locations based off of initial cut from Imagine Brownsville and committee feedback so that we get a geographic cut throughout the city. We would get equal representation, or at least representation from every district, as well as getting representation across various household incomes to see if there was any correlation between household income and participation and or demand. I apologize for not having the 24-week data. I have the 14-week data. We're working on compiling that other information. I'm sorry, the 16-week data. And based on that 16 weeks, at that point, we had recycled over 10,000 pounds of newspaper, 1,200 pounds of aluminum, and close to 6,000 pounds of plastic 1 and plastic 2. Our participation rates, which are really one of the key factors in moving forward, they average around 40 to 45%, which is actually a pretty good participation rate compared to other cities. And there is a correlation between participation rates and household income. This will be detailed in the final report moving forward, and how that relates to options that the commission may want to consider as far as expanding the project, or whether or not you decide to continue with the project as a pilot project and or expanding it as a whole. Rose specifically asked me to state that we have our current contract with Allied Waste expires July 4th. We've talked to Mr. Dikla of Allied Waste, and he has no problem continuing with the study and the contract till September 5th, 2014. So that the collecting of recycled material could continue another 60 days. We would specifically want the 60 days to continue momentum through the pilot projects. We don't interrupt service to those that are already have curbside recycling in the pilot project. One of the biggest things we learned in the Lakeway project from Green Club Verde's work in Lakeway, which is doing their curbside recycling independent as a subdivision, is that when we do have discontinuity of service, we do drop off a lot of participants. And I think that's pretty common sense. People lose faith in the process. And if we could have this continuing for 2 months while the city is working on a bid and fleshing through the RFP that it was just put out, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It was just put out. The bid is due August 19th. This will also give the committee some time to continue their report and to work on some of the lessons learned. Some of the lessons learned were every 2 weeks, like I said, expanding the materials to be recycled. Allied Waste, and part of the bid would include that all materials except for glass and styrofoam would be recycled. This would include all types of plastics, including types 1 through 7, which would alleviate a lot of the confusion for consumers to say, is this a type 1, is this a type 2? You're getting like me, and you see me taking off my glasses, you can't see the little number. And decide whether or not, because those plastics, even the wrong type of number, if you only take 1 or 2, can contaminate the whole stream, and you have to wind up throwing that whole bit of trash out. So having a vendor that can do that for us is really important. No glass or styrofoam, continuing education and outreach. Of course, bigger bins, 96-gallon containers instead of the smaller containers for reasons that I won't expand on, but I'm sure each of you know about. And then, of course, negotiating with the vendor for a percentage of profits to come back to the city. On that note, percentage of profits when times are good and demand is high for recycled materials, and of course, assuming some of that payment when demand for recycled materials is not high. And we've found that researching what other cities have done, in some cases cities have to pay when the market does not support the sale of recycled material. For example, during a huge economic downturn, that's part of entering into the business of dealing with solid waste like you treat any commodity. The report that we're going to provide you will have some options, and the options would include, and these will be fleshed out in the final report, expanding curbside recycling citywide with all participating in a kind of a mandatory fashion, the city picking up the cost as well as any profits negotiated with the vendor. The second option would be to adopt citywide but with self-selected participation only. Taxpayers that want to participate can say, I want to curbside recycle, come to my house. In this case, of course, a small fee based on economic analysis would be transferred or would be charged to that individual consumer. This would have the added benefit of having those that want curbside recycling to go ahead and pursue that, and those that want to take their take their recycled goods and either drop it off on their own or potentially in areas that do not opt for curbside recycling, or perhaps if we decide to go in a subdivision by subdivision trial basis, we could have folks drop off in a perhaps reverse vending type of scenario in which they get cash for their goods. I do want to emphasize that curbside recycling is not the only way a city can recycle. We have drop-off locations. The report will also detail where we need to put additional drop-off locations, and also offer the city the flexibility of saying some subdivisions or some districts may want to adopt a curbside recycling approach, while other approaches such as reverse vending where cash is given to the person or the family that brings recycled goods may be better for that area. I think this maximizes flexibility. I think the city staff, in particular folks like Robert Luna, of course Charlie Kabler, Hilario de Leon, Art Rodriguez have been fundamental, or have been tremendously helpful in working with the committee. Mike Gonzalez and Laura Matamoros at United Brownsville. The volunteers, Rose Timmer, Kelly Tipton with Ruby Red Media, she's here also to take any questions, and Narav Shah from All-Star Metals have been great, and of course all the pilot program participants. We hope that you consider extending the project for 2 months, giving us some additional time, both the city and the committee, to do their important work. And we also hope to have a good report for you so that you can have the best information in front of you to make your decision moving forward on the project as a whole. And with that, I can entertain questions.
I just want to thank you for your whole group for working so hard on it. I started out wanting to participate in your group, and you guys blew me away. I could not keep up with you. But my hat's off to you, because I know how much hard work it took to do that. And it's a wonderful thing for this city, and certainly in line with our long-range plan. And I fully support the extension of the pilot program.
Thank you.
I also want to thank you, Jude, and everyone here who has gotten us to this point. I also started off attending the meetings and couldn't keep up. But whatever option we go with, all the ones you recommended are great options. I want the taxpayers to know that recycling is not only good for the environment, but will extend the life of our landfill. So in the long run, we're saving money from having to raise taxes to purchase another piece of property for landfill and maintaining it. So I thank you for your efforts.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Estella, please note my abstain.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna abstain.
Abstain?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, consideration and action to request authorization to extend the contract for 3 months for transit management services for the B Metro Department.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Commission, we are requesting a 3-month extension, and this to allow us to continue the process of evaluating the RFP, the request for proposals.
Do you have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 12, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 2 Big Belly recycling kiosks for the city of Brownsville.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem, City Commissioners, this is a project. Several commissioners over the years have talked to us about these Big Belly trash can / recycling kiosks. And what you have before you is a recommendation from staff to purchase 2 of those, both of which will be placed in the Brownsville Parks Department as part of a testing program so that we can see how they do in the hot Brownsville sun when they're full of food and trash and what have you. The benefits to these particular kiosks, they're solar powered. They compact the trash on a regular basis, which allows staff to go less frequently to pull the trash out of the containers. There is also a wireless system that alerts staff when they need to be emptied, which is wonderful. One of the concerns that we have is we want to make sure that we don't attract bees and ants and smell because of the fact that we may have items in those containers for longer periods of time. So what you have before you is a recommendation to purchase 2 of those so that we can test them out and see how they do. These items are under contract through HGAC. It's contract GC01-13. And our recommendation is to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of these 2 to Adright Incorporated out of Fort Worth, Texas. And it's in the amount of $9,080. The funds to come out of the plastic bag fund account 01414L-943, and that's the reason we're coming to you, is because it's coming out of plastic bag funds. And there is currently $1,012,000 in that account, so plenty of money to cover this purchase if you choose to make it.
Jeff, is this the price that you gave us? Is that the quote for both of these?
That is a price for two units, and the units are the trash and the recycling both together. So there's 2 units, and both units individually have a trash section and a recycling section.
And you stated that they're going to be located at the Parks Department. Did we identify the parks that they're going to be?
So far, we've looked at Morningside and the sports park as 2 options. We're a little bit flexible with that. In fact, we may put them at several different sites Again, the test, or the purpose for the test is to see how they do in the sun and in the heat that we've got here in Brownsville, so.
To add to Jeff's comments, other cities have even sold advertisement on these bins. We don't have to sell it. We could advertise our own programs or events, but that's just another option. They're vandal proof. Like you said, they keep out rodents, bees. So they're great. I'd been trying to get some for a long time.
I know, me too.
Me too.
So thank you, Jeff.
Thank
A
you,
great
Jeff.
going away present for us.
You bet.
Move
Do I
to
have a
approve.
motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item 13, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of 2 sweepers for the Brownsville Public Works Department.
Honorable Mayor Pro Tem Commissioners, as you're aware, back in January of 2013, the City of Brownsville purchased 2 new sweepers. These were to replace a couple of units that were basically non-functioning at the time. The request before you is basically to duplicate that same purchase. This would be for the purchase and delivery of 2 street sweepers for the Brownsville Public Works Department, and the contract would be to Timco Incorporated of Waco, Texas. This is HGAC contract pricing in the amount of $431,120 for 2 sweepers, and these would be equal in all ways to the 2 units that we purchased a year ago. The funding for these would be coming from the Plastic Bag Fund, 01414L-943, and with the motion that you just made a second ago, there is $1,002,920 in that account. So,
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
thank you.
Was that your last item ever? No, right? Was that?
Yes, with that, we close the book on Jeff. 16 years with the city.
Thank you,
Thank
Jeff.
you, Jeff.
We're gonna
Bye,
miss
Jeff.
you.
He wanted all.
We miss.
He wanted to be here one last time to do a presentation, and of course, he's always welcome back.
Thank you for the big bellies.
Item 14, consideration and action to award a contract for the construction of 2 safety shelter domes for the Brownsville Sports Park.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. We are here before you today. We're requesting a recommendation for approval on the contract to be awarded to Spa Glass Contractors, Brownsville, Texas, with the best and final offer for safety shelter dome DR 1791359 in the amount of $353,566, and safety dome shelter DR 1791368 in the amount of $353,566. This is 2 separate contracts for the construction management fees for the construction of 2 domes at the Brownsville Sports Park. And we're recommending approval on this contracts.
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Item 15, consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of vehicles for the Brownsville Public Works Department.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Commission. Excuse me. Mr. Torres asked me to present this item for him, and I'm sorry, Santiago Navarro, Assistant Public Works Director. Sorry about that. Anyway, staff recommends the following as far as consideration and action to award a contract for the purchase and delivery of vehicles to the Brownsville City Public Works Department to Caldwell County of Caldwell, Texas, in the amount of $26,601 per vehicles for a total price of $106,404. Funding for this purchase is made available through the city auction funds, which has a balance of $64,323, and the remaining balance will be through CO Fund account 88-417-943. Staff recommends approval.
Have a motion?
Move to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Wait, before we adjourn, I do have a reminder. I don't know if we reminded everybody about our 4th of July celebration at the sports park, so make sure everybody comes out. The celebration will be for the 4th of July festival at the sports park to start at 5:30. Bring the family, come out and enjoy the festivities. Do you have a motion?
Adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.